about empowering you to take control over your life. Specifically, the way that I teach you to take control over your life is not only teaching you the scientific tools like we are studying here with this phenomenal book, Atomic Habits. I also feel that there's a piece that's missing. We learn how to respond to the world and learn in the world through our five senses, whatever we can see and touch and taste and smell and hear and all of that. However, there is a big part of navigating this world, especially for those of you that are women. We have intuition and we have perception. And so for those of you that are new to me, that's why you see me using other tools and teaching other tools like astrology and tarot, only so that you can tap into your intuition, because that's going to help you to perceive the information, the subtle clues about what's going on in earth and what's going on in energy and what's going on in your life and your relationships before you even begin to see them in the outer world. And that's something that we're not taught in school. This is something that for a lot of us, we're not taught by our parents, but it's totally one of the biggest things that has helped me to move out of a paradigm and a way of believing and seeing the world and being able to level up and shift my perception and get such a big, broad view of what is possible for me, what is possible in the world, and also help me understand the world more, so that I'm not always having to work hard like we're taught, and I'm not always having to do all the things. You just need to learn that your intellect is just as important as your intuition. And that's my little soapbox. That's what I do. So for those of you that are new to the live streams and everything, that is my mission for being here. So let's go ahead and get into the lesson. For those of you that are also new to the live stream, if you have trouble creating good habits in your life, or maybe you start creating a good habit and you fall off and you give up on yourself and you get discouraged because you feel like you expend a whole bunch of energy trying to push and make a change, but you're not seeing the results that you want to see. So you give up on yourself, you get discouraged, you get frustrated, all of the things that we've all been there. Then this is the live stream for you. We're going over Atomic Habits. This is one of the most phenomenal books, I believe, for helping you understand how you can learn how to get out of that cycle of negativity, out of that cycle of giving up on yourself, and learning how to actually move forward in life and make changes that last. Inherently, for those of you that are in the Personal Mastery membership, we have a live right after this in our Facebook group. Inherently, what this author didn't maybe anticipate is that the same things that help you to get out of these negative cycles and create a better life for yourself is the same things that you can use to learn how to manifest in your life as well. So ladies, I'll be going live over in our membership if you want to talk about manifestation or have any questions related to that. So we are now in chapter 6. Chapter 6 is about motivation being overrated. Before we get into what the author says in this specific chapter, I teach a lot about motivation, and I teach a lot about how if you are relying on a feeling of being motivated to help you to either get on track or stay on track, then you're going to be waiting a very long time to get started. Or else what will happen is you will start, and then when that motivation runs out, you will stop. So you have a lot of false starts, saying that you're going to do something, saying that you're going to change, but you don't have any sustained consistency and persistency. The reason why that is because motivation is a feeling. And more than anything, you guys should probably realize by now that the thing that fluctuates the most for a lot of people is their emotional state. And their emotional state, your emotional state, probably fluctuates a lot if you are not living the life that I talked about with the intellect and the intuition. Your emotional state probably fluctuates a lot based on what's going on in your external environment. And when those cues come in, you adopt feelings based on the way that you think about the things that you are perceiving in your outer environment. So emotions have this tendency to go up and down. And there's a way that you can learn how to control that for your highest and best good. Again, ladies in the membership, we'll be talking about that all next month. However, until you can learn to just accept the fact that emotions are going to go up and down, what does that tell you? That's a huge clue that you cannot rely on a feeling to keep you going toward your goals. Because if one day you feel motivated, then you don't. Then you feel motivated, then you don't. That gives you inconsistency because feelings are inconsistent. So you have to understand, number one, that motivation is something that is important and is something that can inspire you into action. And when you feel motivated, you should definitely ride that wave of motivation because it will be like a wind in your sail that will keep you going and make things easier. But it's not something that you should rely on in order for you to feel like you want to do something that you know that you need to do that's going to take you closer to your goal. What's going to set you up for success is to learn how to rely on your identity shifting and systems that you have put into place to make you successful so that even when you don't feel like doing something, which happens all the damn time, then you still are going to take these small 1% actions that we have been talking about in this book study that is going to help you to move further towards your goal. So he's talking about motivation being overrated. And specifically in this chapter, he gets a lot into the behavior. And this is how behavior works, right? He says behavior is a function of the person in their environment. And he talks about how in different environments, we tend to behave in different ways. And we don't even know that we do this. There have been many scientific studies, observational studies, where we feel like we're in control of the way that we respond to certain cues in our life. When in all actuality, when people make little subtle changes and shifts, we just change and shift with our environment. So in fact, a lot of the way that you behave, whether you know it or not, is tied to your environment. It's tied to the situations that you choose to be in. So for instance, if you are in a work environment that has always got junk food around, it doesn't matter if you think that you're making the choice to choose. There's like a little fly in here because we've been doing some work. So sorry about that. So if you think that you choose what it is that you're going to eat in your office environment, in fact, what they have shown is that if you remove the unhealthy choices and you start to put in more healthy choices or like a water machine, people just adjusted to that. They stopped eating so much junk. They started drinking more water. So in fact, you adjust to the environment that it is that you are in, whether you are conscious of that or not. This is important. Also, he said, the truth is, however, that many of the actions that we take each day are shaped not by purposeful drive and choice, but by the most obvious option. So again, a lot of you, I used to be trained to respond to life, right? How are your relationships going? You don't dictate how they go. You wait and see what comes up in the relationship and then you respond. As far as work, you just do your job. And if something comes up, you figure it out. As far as your senses, you just respond to what it is that is coming at you during the day. And from there, you just make choices like that all day. You are not in control of your life. And he said that specifically, one of the biggest cues that a lot of us have that are fortunate enough to be able to see is visual cues. So the most obvious option for a lot of us is what we take in by our sight. So pay attention to this. Given that we are more dependent on vision than on any other sense, it should come as no surprise that visual cues are the greatest catalyst of our behavior. For this reason, a small change in what you see can lead to a big shift in what you do. This is important. A small shift in what you see can lead to a big shift in what you do. As a result, you can imagine how important it is to live and work in environments that are filled with productive cues and are devoid of unproductive cues. Again, we respond to the world by our senses. If you have not learned to develop your intuition and everything like that, you really fall victim to your senses. So it's really going to be even more important for you to be in environments that are productive to the goals that you are trying to accomplish, and more specifically, that are conducive to the person that you want to be. So look around your environments, and I would venture to say not only your physical environment, but also your relationship landscapes. And are you looking at a situation, at a landscape that is supportive to what it is that you want? If you want to be a healthy person, what is sitting out around you? Is it junk food around you, or is it healthy food around you? If you want to work out in the morning, are your clothes tucked away in your closet, and when you get up in the morning, you got to go try to dig them out? Or first thing in the morning, you got your clothes all laid out because you did it the night before. So that way, that is a cue that as soon as you get up, oh man, I promised myself I would work out. Vitamins. He mentions this example in this chapter. For some of us, we have all of the vitamins saying that we're going to be healthy, but we have them tucked up in a cupboard so that we always forget to take our vitamins. So if that's something important to you, something that you could do is make that cue visually. But I'm also going to go and venture to say the people that you are hanging around with. The relationships, not just your intimate relationships, but which is a choice, but then your friendship relationships. Start off by looking at the things you can control, which is your own personal environment and your own personal relationships, and just look at what you are taking in. And is it productive or is it unproductive? And if it's not, then that's going to tell you how you are setting yourself up to fail. And motivation, when it does hit, it doesn't last. Remember, I told you how it goes up and down. So then what you end up having to do, if you don't have these success systems in place and you don't have your identity in place, is you have to rely on willpower, and you have to rely on, just really gritting down and bearing it. And that also runs out. And so you end up trying to make changes and making your environment more hard than it needs to be and more unsupportive than it needs to be, which makes it harder for you to change. And I'm sure that you've all been there. You are trying to make these positive changes in your life, but the people that you allow in your life are unsupportive. Or maybe you're trying to make these changes in your life. Maybe you want to read more. Maybe you want to do actions that go after your dream. But when you look around your environment, it does not support what it is that you need to do. So this is why this is important for you to understand. If you want to make a habit a big part of your life, make the cue a big part of your environment. So, I talked about putting your vitamins out, or if you want to work out, making sure your workout clothes are laid out. Or we know that there's people that want to learn how to play an instrument. Where's your instrument? Is it tucked away, or do you have it out in front of you so that you can have that cue? Or any other thing that you are trying to accomplish. Make sure you have the cue as a part of your environment. He also mentioned how you also have, you have to have context behind the cues. So, just make sure that you're not only just putting this stuff out, but there's meaning and purpose behind whatever the cue is that you decide is going to help you spring into action when it is that you want to make changes in your life. For some of us, let's specifically work. I know we can't change work, so we could talk about work later. But when you can't manage to get an entirely new environment, now some of this is not a pass for you to stay in crappy situations or crappy environments because you are too scared to make hard decisions around things that are not working for you, right? But if you really cannot control your environment, what you could also do is rearrange the environment that you are currently in. So maybe for you, it's about you maybe have a space where you meditate, and you have a space where you read, and you have a space where you work out. he said a mantra that he finds useful for this is to find one space, one use. Because what that does is add context to your cues. So not only do you have your workout clothes, but maybe you have your workout clothes laid out in an area that is visible where you work out. So not only do you have that cue that you need to work out, but you also have the context because it's in the area that you use. This is powerful, guys. When I teach students how to tap into their intuition through the use of tarot cards, this is one of the fundamental things that I teach them, and they don't understand it. They try to get lazy, they try to get sloppy, but I make them, when they're going to do a reading, create a ritual, create a routine before they start reading. And I also have them pick a spot in their home that is going to be their safe place, their peaceful place, the place where they go to do their prayers and their reading and their meditation. The reason why I do this is not because that is necessary, but what this does is not only provide them with a cue, but it provides them with context. And when you start to separate off areas and provide context to your brain about what this area, if this is your tarot area, what it does is it starts to help you hardwire in your brain that, okay, when I sit down at this desk, this is where I read tarot. And it makes it easier for you to get in that vibe so that you can read your tarot and you can get accurate answers and you can tap into your intuition. So same thing with working out. Say you want to work out more and you pick a corner of your house as your workout area. It makes it easier for you to get into the zone of working out when you add the cue with the context. And whether you notice it or not, it starts to get your brain to hardwire certain activities and habits into your life and into your psyche, which makes it easier for you to stay on point, stay persistent, stay consistent, and not give up on yourself. So you may think that this is little, but it's not. And when I make my students do this, by the end of our classes, they have dropped into what they need to do, and their readings become better and better and better if they do what I tell them to do around providing a context, a place where you specifically do a certain activity. So this stuff does work. And this is what I used to do at the beginning of my journey. For me, it was the priority was intuitive work. And so when I wanted to tap into my intuition, and this is the way that I did it. This is the way that I got on point. All right, 2 more points. And while I'm going over these 2 points, if you have any questions, concerns, struggles, observations that you notice, go ahead and drop them in the comment box for me. And I will go ahead and see if I can help you out. So he also says, you know, a lot of us don't have the luxury of having a whole bunch of space in our home. And so if your space is limited, you can divide a room into activity zones. For instance, he says you may have a chair for reading, a desk for writing, a table for eating. And some people do it with their digital stuff. Maybe your computer's for writing, your tablet's for reading, your phone is only for social media and texting. So have zones if you can't specify areas of your home. Every habit should have a home. It will make it much easier for you to stay consistent. What you should be noticing is that you can hardwire things into your brain if you just do a little bit of legwork up front, so that by the end of what I've been saying is 90 days. 90 days is how long I work with the ideal client. But in 90 days, you can totally shift your life, and you can shift it in a way that this time is easy. This time you don't have to give up on yourself. This time you don't have to struggle. You don't have to fight. You don't have to push. You don't have to wonder why other people aren't supporting you. You don't have to think that the changes that you want to make are hard. There are ways that you can do this stuff and make it some of the easiest stuff that you have ever done. You can totally shift your identity, change into a new person, reach new levels that you never thought you could reach before just by doing this. And it doesn't have to be hard. You just have to learn how to work with energy, work with science in order to be able to do this easier. So as we close out chapter 6, he said, if you can manage to stick with this strategy, each context like area will become associated with a particular habit and a mode of thought, right? You get in your workout mode, you get in your instrument mode, your diet mode, your meditation mode, your tarot mode. And habits thrive under predictable circumstances like these. I've seen it time and time again, and I've changed who I was in a very short period of time by doing this. From somebody that had to rebuild her life, didn't know who she was, had a big, not aggressive attitude, but just felt like I had to push and work hard and do all of this work to get what I wanted to get, to learning that there was another way to approach life. And once I just went hard on myself, or not hard on myself, once I went hard on these habit changes and really made them a system, a process, and gave them context, my life was able to rebuild and change easily. The people that knew me around that time were like, I don't see how you're doing this. I don't know how you could just move on. And I don't know how you can just excel and why you're not stuck. Because for most people, to lose your home, to lose your marriage, to not have a job, that would be devastating for a lot of people. And for some of you, you've had something like that happen and you're still stuck in park. But I want to let you know that this is how you can recreate your life easier. And by picking the identity that you want in this season of your life, you can recreate your life better. It works. So, habits thrive under predictable circumstances like these. Focus comes automatically when you are in your context. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't see any questions. So again, if you would like some additional resources that I've curated for you, you can text the word mastery to 833-231-4407. If you want to learn my system and you want help with this, you've tried to do it on your own and it's just not working and you want some support and guidance and somebody to help keep you accountable, keep you on track and integrate it into your life, then you can contact me for private coaching. yashikasintuition.com/coaching intake. I will see you here tomorrow, same time, same place. Talk to you soon. Bye.